It's podcast day. It's podcast day. Welcome in, friends. It's a spinning day here today, and I decided to invite you in. That's how I create a community feeling when I'm making, as I turn the camera on and record what's happening here. heyBrownBerry. I'm spinning today on my Schact Matchless wheel. And this is kind of an experiment because spinning is a full body experience. My friend Anne said that the other day during one of our spin and make along chats that we have where we were interviewing her. It's a full body experience. It involves hand-eye coordination. There's a lot of brain energy that can go into it, in terms of trying to get a consistent yarn and to find a rhythm. I find that it includes a lot of counting for me, counting my treadles on the wheel, and in honor of getting a consistent rhythm going for each length of yarn that I'm spinning. So to do that and to talk to the camera is maybe not the most advisable. I've seen people do it for tutorials, which is very impressive, to be able to explain what you're doing as your hands and feet are moving. But I just had a feeling to jump on here and say hello to all of you and check in with you and see what you're up to. Share a little bit about what I've been up to. I've just come off of a few days of vacation time. Very enjoyable, and all the more so because it's been a while since we've done much regular travel. I have two kids who are in college, and they're actually at the same university together. And we went to drop them off at the university so they could start their fall semester. We've done that a few times now. My oldest is going to be a junior in college, and my youngest is going to be a sophomore. And this is the first year that they are living together, so it was a really fun experience to see them planning and organizing and setting up the way they wanted their living space to be. That was really cool. And we drove over to where their university is, and then my husband Andrew and I decided to take a few days off after that drop off. I have to give my kids a lot of credit. They did a really good job packing up and setting themselves up. And so we provided a second vehicle and more space and some helping hands to move things in, but they did a lot of it themselves. It's very gratifying as a parent to see when your kids get to that point that they can do things the way they want to and do things mostly on their own. It's kind of cool. Kind of gives you a glimpse into what they'll be like as adults. So we went for a short vacation afterward. We live in a place that most people come to vacation. Florida is a really popular destination spot for tourism. And because of where my home is, I'm not as impacted by that because I don't live in a high population area. So I know that a lot of folks come here for the beach and for the nightlife and for the seafood and all the other good things about Florida. But like anyone, we sometimes forget that we can also be tourists in our own home, and we decided to do that this time. We had a really good time. We did some kayaking and walking and exploring in a beach area where we stayed. And it was just nice to have enough familiarity, because we're still in our home state, but to see some very different landscape than what's usually outside my window. So I really enjoyed that. Excuse me, everybody. Please behold my husband looking like he was born in a kayak. He just knows how to do it. Yes. And this year is our 25th wedding anniversary. And while we were on the trip, we decided that instead of doing some big thing, which is really not our style, to commemorate that, we would just make this our silver anniversary year of doing little things here and there that we love. And we've both really taken to the whole water sport thing over time, and kayaking is really a fun way to see the coastline of an area or to explore a marsh or a bay or the ocean. It's a really cool way to make your way around a region. And so we did that for the second time in about a month and enjoyed it again. The thing about living in Florida when it's August is you have to do things like that fairly early in the morning unless you want to be sweltering in said watercraft. So we got up early and got that activity in, and then went back to vacation relaxation mode. I am knitting on some things, and I did of course have travel knitting with me. I'm working on some designs. I would share them with you if I could, but based on the collaborations I'm doing, they're going to be surprises, so I can't share those current works in progress with you. So I'm going to share some of my spinning that I've done and a little bit of natural dyeing. And in the comments, tell me if you're working on something that can be shared. I love to hear about that. I think if you read through the comments on many of my videos, you'll see that all of my wonderful subscribers and followers who come over here are very happy to share what they're working on. And I love reading those comments, and you might too. So let me show you what else I've been spinning that's part of this kind of a set. What's on the wheel right now is one of the 5 colors in a set of Corriedale fibers that I got from Woolfiend. I actually purchased the set when I was at Frame and Fiber in February of 2020, which feels like so long ago now. But I was teaching a class and had the benefit of shopping before the students arrived. So I'm working through the set of fiber, and I'll show you the things I've spun so far. Coffee's warmed up. Love this mug. Remembrances Pottery, favorite. Hi Natalie, if you're watching. I just warmed up the last sip of this coffee. So I was talking to you about my current handspun project, and you've seen now one of the colors. There were 5 colors in all. I showed them in my last episode. And now the fiber has become yarn. I'm practicing my long draw. Essentially, if you're not a spinner, the basic description I would give to long draw is it's a pretty old technique. I mean, it's anything that we do now in our making is probably not brand new, right? It's been around forever, and long draw, I think, would be considered a traditional way of spinning woolen spun, lighter, loftier yarns. In many cases, you're using mostly one hand to draw out the fiber, draft the fiber away from the wheel as you're spinning, as you're treadling to add twist. And sometimes you can use both hands. That's known as supported long draw, where you are using both hands to kind of help tease the fiber apart and get a nice airy strand. So I've been practicing that, because to go from using 2 hands and controlling the fiber and really going inch by inch down the length of it, is very different from using one hand and doing a long draw of the fiber away from the wheel to just allow the twist to move into it. And woolen spun yarns are very airy. Each strand is full of a lot of air because you're not compressing that air out with your fingers. So I've been using this Corriedale to practice that technique because it really is quite sticky. I'll show you the fiber I have not spun yet. This little tote that I made. The fiber I haven't spun yet is this last color in the set, this chocolatey brown. It's a little bit heathered, but check out that color. Yummy. This is the last of the fiber, but it gives you an idea of, see what this roving is like? Those fibers really, really want to be together. And so I can do the long draw technique with this because it does stick together really well as twist is traveling into my fiber source. So I have been really, really pleased with the way this has been working. I did have some trouble in the beginning not adding enough twist, and that would mean that the fiber would break pretty often. But as I've gone through the colors, I've gotten better at that. As an aside, one of the first colors in this set, when I was trying to spin it worsted, which is a more controlled, compressed way of spinning, I was very frustrated by the fiber continuing to break. I just couldn't get the right rhythm. So I started the first color on a spindle. I talked a little bit about this before as well, but the first greenish gold color in this set is being spun on my spindle, and I have two of these that I'm going to use for a 2-ply. So this yarn will be very different from the yarn that I'm now spinning on the wheel. So far off the wheel, I've got two colors that I have spun and washed and dried. So there's this deep burgundy wine-colored gorgeousness. Love this one. Very light. It's come up to about 29 grams, and I'm happy to have this gorgeous stamp from Katie Green. This lets me label my yarns very profesh. So I can write what the yarn is and the construction. So this is about 29 grams, and these are 2-ply. And this gray was next off the wheel. Let me just bring this color down a bit. You can see the plies are very open and fluffy. I'm really loving these. Very pleased with the set so far. Of course, all the colors go beautifully together. Don't know exactly what I will make with it yet, but since I've decided to go long draw for 4 of the colors and worsted for this 5th color, I still think I can use them all together in one project, especially something like a shawl project, maybe some color work, even a cowl. I could still use them all together, but I want to see what this final yarn comes out to look like before I decide. Whew. Having a good time with spinning. Are you spinning? Any new spinners out there? I love hearing from folks who've just started a craft because I feel like that's the time when your discovery comes fast and furious. And as much as you might be full of questions, you're also still full of that wonder and awe of something new. So if you're a new spinner, shout me out in the comments. I want to know how it's going for you. I still feel like a new spinner, and it's been a few years. I've even taught folks how to drop spindle spin, so I guess that would not put me in the beginner category, but because of the way these fiber crafts work, every time you learn and practice a new technique, you essentially become a beginner again. So I definitely don't think that I'm past any of that wonder and learning. The other thing I want to share with you today is a lovely, lovely little token that I received from my friend Denise. Hi, Denise. Denise is Earth Tones Girl out here on YouTube and on Instagram. And she's my sock twin. We are sock obsessed makers, designers. And she actually this week is running a 1-week sock challenge with a friend of hers. And right after that, actually starting this week as well, because September is coming around, she's got the fall sock cowl. Let me get the right name for that. It's the Falling Leaves sock cowl. I'll put the hashtag here because if you are also looking to do some sock knitting this autumn or spring, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you should join in. And I just wanted to publicly thank Denise for something sock related she sent me recently. This gorgeous ball. Thank you, Denise. First of all, she has impeccable taste in yarns, especially yarns for making socks. And I loved watching her recent podcast where she's talking about some of the new things she's exploring with sock knitting. And in a conversation, in a chat we were having, I mentioned that I had never tried West Yorkshire Spinners brand yarns, which is kind of shocking because they are very well known for their gorgeous sock yarn lines. And this is the West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply, reared, sheared, and spun in Britain. And because I mentioned that I'd never tried it, Denise, being who she is, sent me this lovely, lovely colorway. Thank you, honey. It is Passion Fruit Cooler, which is super appropriate based on the colors in here. Right? This is a 4-ply, which is 75% wool, 25% nylon, and much like another sock yarn I've used in the past, which is Patton's Croy, this feels like it's going to hold up quite well, but still be soft in the hand and really pleasant through my fingers to knit. So I think I can get away with this as the Falling Leaves cowl skein for a pair of socks. I was thinking about it last night, and I'm considering just a comfort knit. And I may even go cuff down. If you've been here for a while, you know I'm a toe-up sock knitter. But I like the idea of switching it up. When I'm not working on a design, it delights me to work on things that are unrelated to my design work. And so I would love to do a cuff down comfort sock. Maybe just something ribbed or really simple texture. Maybe just stockinette, because really these colors would do a lot on their own. So I appreciate this, my friend, and I love the way you're bringing community together. I'm going to see if I can join you all. If you'd like information about the sock cowl extravaganza that's going on with Earth Tones Girl, I'll make sure her information is in the description box. Yummy. Thinking about autumn is a very encouraging thought if you live in South Florida, because it means cooler temperatures will come. In the summer, that seems near to impossible, but they will be here soon. I talked a little bit in my last episode about rehoming some yarns from other makers and rehoming that yarn for the purpose of dyeing. I find it so lovely the way we can be part of each other's making. And it's not a small thing to me that through the internet, I am able to purchase yarn from someone who just, they no longer want to use it or can use it or need to use it. And when I want to do something like play in the dye pots, I can purchase de-stash yarns, maybe free up some mental energy for another maker, and then play in the dye pot, which is what I did last week. I was using some of the marigolds in my garden. The marigold production this year has been incredible. I feel very, very grateful that marigolds seem to really like the soil and temperatures and light here, because they are a giver when it comes to dyeing. Marigolds naturally give a bright, bright yellow color in a heated dye bath, And I've had such good fortune with them that this time around I decided, instead of just going with this standard yellow that they produce, I would try using a different yarn base to get some different colors. So I want to show you the results of that dye bath playtime. By shifting slightly the camera lighting, this is a much more accurate representation of the colors. I am so pleased with this. The base, the yarn base, is a Knit Picks Sport Weight yarn, and it was gray, a very light gray. This color is still showing some of the gray base that it's dyed on. Because I used a gray base, what would normally be a golden yellow, I think I forgot to mention this, but this was actually a dye bath with marigolds and onion skins, which usually gives colors in a bright yellow, even out to orange and rusty shades. So using that dye bath on a gray base gave this golden green shade, and I love that because it's so different from what you would get if you had just dyed on a white or a cream base. And essentially this is a gradient created by putting the yarn in the strongest concentration of the dye. And so I got this darkest color here, and then putting the next skein in the next day. And so there was a little bit of color left, and then this final skein last. The lightest amount of dye that was left in the pot gave this grayish, very light or pale green color. And because I dyed them in that same dye bath at those different dye concentrations, I feel like they just automatically go together. It makes such an easy set to do it that way. Love playing like this. Throughout the year, I've been reflecting on the things that bring me joy and that don't bring me joy. Dyeing for production purposes, dyeing in high quantities with the intent to sell very specific colorways does not bring me the same kind of joy as picking some materials and just playing to see what comes out. Eventually I may sell some of the things that come out of that playtime, but the purpose in the moment is more joyful when it's just for me and it's just to explore. That's what I wanted to share with you this time around, my dearest friends. I love when you come and spend time in this little corner of the community with me, and I look forward to coming back again, turn the camera on, do some more sharing and conversing with you. I hope that your making is going as planned, and if it's not, be gentle with yourself. Take a break, take a breath, take up something else if you need to in the moment. But until we see each other again, I hope that all is well, and I will see you. Thanks for being here. Bye.